On the Prowl.
Hello, I'm Kiran Gollakota. I'm here with Kevin Whitaker. It's a Monday edition of On the Prowl this week. A lot to talk about, a lot to do, so let's just get started. Obviously, the big story at Thursday's game, the men's basketball team taking on the University of Kentucky. First round matchup in Tampa, Florida. UK, the number 4 seed, Princeton, the number 13 seed. A lot of people not giving us a good chance coming into this game. Pretty much every commentator had Princeton going down by double digits or more. 20% roughly, probably less, picked Princeton to win in national bracket pools.
ESPN had 4.9%, I believe.
4.9%, a lot less
in the first
20.
round.
It didn't turn out the way a lot of people expected.
No, it didn't. The first, Kentucky opens on an 11-2 run, and you're sort of like, here we go. It's just going to be another blowout like people expect. But Princeton just reset right after that run, get back into it, make a couple baskets. Kentucky misses a couple shots, and it's still, now it's a one-possession game. You're still wondering, okay, is Kentucky now just going to come back and knock that out? But then Douglas Davis, junior guard, heats up, hits some mid-range jumpers, hits a three-pointer to tie the game at 20. And from then on, it's back and forth the whole way.
Yeah, and what really impressed me about this game was freshman guard Brandon Knight for UK held to 0 points for the first 38 minutes and 50-some odd seconds.
39 minutes, 58 seconds.
39 minutes, 58 seconds, I'm sorry. It's impressive. I mean, this is a highly touted guy, expected to be a lottery pick in the near future, if not this year. And he's bottled up. Completely stifled by the Princeton defense. Something pretty impressive, especially from a team that has at times struggled on that end. Rebounding was pretty stellar from the Princeton team. Really a pretty even game. I wouldn't say that Kentucky really had they didn't have an edge on us that game, on Princeton that game, I should say.
Yeah, no, the final score seemed accurate there, 59-57 for everything. Pretty much after those first 5 minutes, it was really back and forth. As you mentioned, Knight, of course. He scored the 2 points that won the game at the end, sort of a, I don't want to say lucky shot, especially because he hit it a couple times against West Virginia the next day when he scored 26. So it's a shot he knows he can get, but still, not the shot that goes in very often, for sure. And but Josh Harrelson, Kentucky center, was just sort of too big, too strong for Princeton's defense. I think if you're looking for a key to the game, a key player, he would be it. Terrence Jones just hit a couple tough shots. He was well defended by Kareem Maddox and the other Princeton forwards. But he's just a good enough player, likely lottery pick, that he'll just make some shots where, you can't, one of those, you just put up your hand, so you can't defend that. But yeah, Princeton, very strong on the defensive end, strong on the offensive end, scored more than 1 point per possession against a Kentucky defense full of athletic and talented players.
Yeah, and Coach Sidney Johnson, a little emotional after the loss, understandable considering how far his program has come in the last 4 years. Pretty impressive, 6-23 4 years ago when Johnson started. To an Ivy League title and a pretty good showing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. On to the women. The women taking on Georgetown. They were the Tigers, the number 12 seed, Georgetown, the number 5. This one in Silver Springs, Maryland. Difficult for the women.
Difficult indeed. Georgetown, I knew coming in, Coach Banghart said in the pre-tournament press conference that knew what to expect from Georgetown. High-octane defense, lots of pressure. Full court pressure in the half court also, and Princeton the first half just couldn't handle it. Princeton scores the first 2 points, but Georgetown then goes on a 22-3 run, sort of as the defining sequence comes at the end of that run. 2 consecutive possessions. Georgetown presses, guard Sugar Rogers steals a pass, hits a three-pointer, does it again. Rogers finished with, I believe, 26 points, might have been 28, had 16 in the first half, and outscored Princeton in that first half. The 20-point game at halftime. Princeton came out and showed up. Played much better in the second half, but by then it was really too little, too late.
So a bit of a disappointing end for the teams to this season this year, but big strides on both sides. The men's and women's programs coming back from the depths to really sit atop the Ivy League, at least for this year. Of course, the men did share the title with Harvard, but relatively speaking, uncontested champions of the Ivy League. So big news. Some difficulties in other places in Princeton athletics. The men's lacrosse team struggling a little bit with the start of their season. Tough losses over spring break to UNC, Villanova, Penn. The loss of Jack McBride really hurting them. But Chris Bates, a young coach, I think for really, it's the kind of thing, and we saw this with basketball too. I think it's difficult to count on early games as a predictor of late season play.
Princeton sure hoping that's going to be the case. That lost to Penn the first time in the last 21 games, I believe, against Quakers. Princeton lost to Penn. The Quakers certainly on the rise this year. A good team there, but not a team that Princeton wants to be losing to.
Not at all. I mean, the first loss was 1989 to the Quakers. Difficult, but expect the Tigers to come back. Strong play from Fort Sunfeld, from Luke Armour, from Cliff Larkin, really doing some damage in the Villanova game, scoring late multiple times to bring Princeton close. The baseball team had a spring break trip, had decent.
The spring break trips for baseball, all these early season games really, sort of more a chance to get players warmed up and try to figure out, pare down that roster for Ivy League play. For any of these northeastern schools in baseball, it's just really tough because you can't play throughout the winter, can't play the early season games that these southern teams can. So you see them taking trips down to, of course, like LSU, where Tigers actually pulled out a victory. This would be 2 weeks ago. The top 10 team there at LSU, so that was certainly a huge victory for the program. But these early season games, you'll look, pretty much none of the Ivy League teams will end up with a winning record once league season starts, but they're also looking to find out what they have. Princeton, a young team this year, but they have some big dreams, I think.
Yeah, and so it's a big weekend upcoming. The men's team and women's tennis teams, will start their Ivy League play against Penn this Saturday. The men's team at home, the women's team at Penn. I mean, really just starting to get into the swing of the spring season. Some exciting things down the line. Ivy League play pretty much starting to heat up across the board. So we'll have more in the week ahead in print, online. We'll be back Sunday at our regular time to do more of this. So until then, have a great start of the spring